Senator Martin Nesbitt will be the minority leader for the 2011 legislative session. Thanks for being on North Carolina Now.
Well, thanks for having me.
Well, I know people have read your name if they've read the newspaper and followed state politics, but who's Martin Nesbitt? Where are you from? What do you do for a living?
From Asheville, North Carolina. I'm an attorney by trade. Been here since 1979. I'm probably the only person down here who got into office through my mother. My mother served down here for 5 years and died in office. I was appointed to replace her and been here since '79, with the exception of the '94 election.
What has changed in 30 years, 32 years now?
The world, everything. It really is a substantially different place, better place. We have a great state. We were on the move until we had this economic disaster that we have here, and it's really put a stop to us in North Carolina, and we've got to get the state moving again. But we have, you've seen per capita income rise, you've seen levels of education rise. Everything was a rising tide in North Carolina.
Going back to November, what did you see coming about that election? Were you anticipating what you've experienced to go to from being in the majority to now well in the minority, and how do you handle that?
Well, of course, you never anticipate losing the majority. We anticipated a very difficult election. We anticipated a low voter turnout, perhaps not as low as it ended up being, and I think that hurt us. But and I think what we saw from the voters was just a lot of frustration, and it wasn't necessarily aimed at North Carolina. It was frustration with the national economy, with the state economy, and their inability to see a way out of this. Of course, we know jobless people are hurting, but the part sometimes I don't think we get is the people that have jobs are hurting. They're worried about losing their job. They're underemployed. They're taking wage cuts. Small businesses are hanging on without work to do, trying to keep their business alive until they can get work, and they're about at the end of the rope. And I think what you saw was frustration because no one seemed to be able to move this economy forward.
Well, now in your new position as in the minority party at this point, how do you see yourself positioning? What can North Carolinians, Republicans and Democrats and independents expect out of you?
They can expect us to try to find some answers. I mean, we're here to work and find answers and move this state ahead. And as long as the majority party is moving in the right direction, we'll support them. When we think they're moving in the wrong direction, we'll oppose them.
Where does work begin on day one once the session convenes? Are we going to go straight to the budget and spending, or will there be other issues that will compete for the top spot?
They'll set the agenda, so it's up to them to decide where we go first. I understand we're going to start very quickly with substantive legislation, which would mean non-budget items. But at this point in time, I don't know which particular issues they're going to take up.
Republicans saying they will be able to balance the budget with spending cuts and reduce the government spending. I've had Speaker Hackney on this program. He's advocating a balanced approach of cuts with some tax increases or enhanced revenue, whatever term you choose. Where do you see yourself standing on that when you pick up that microphone and debate it?
Well, I think what Representative Hackney is saying is we need to do the right thing. And if at the end of the day that means revenue, that's what we ought to do. If it means cutting, that's what we ought to do. But what we can't do, and we were being asked by the Republicans last session to go ahead and cut teachers. Well, we didn't have to cut teachers. We could use stimulus to not cut teachers. And they were saying, oh, but you're going to have a problem when that goes away. But that doesn't mean you fire teachers a year before you have the problem. As we work through this budget, it'll be a matter of setting priorities. And when we think there's a better way to go than the one they're proposing, we'll say so. I can't really, the budget is like 1,000 points of light, so it's impossible for me to tell you where we will disagree. We will disagree. We have distinctly different visions of this state. We have sold this state as the best place in America to do business and to live. That's by investing in the future. They have indicated that they think that we need to cut taxes and make it a cheaper place to do business. And I think those two will collide during the session.
What is your philosophy for putting people back to work? You've brought up business in a couple of our conversations. How would you do it?
Our economy is always driven by small business, and we need large businesses, and we need everything that they do, and they add some. But 80% of your new jobs are going to be created by small business. We've got to figure out how to address their pain. Right now, they can't get loans in order to move forward with their businesses. People can't get loans to buy things from them. And the credit markets are just locked down for the small business people. Now, big business can get loans. Ingalls Markets up our way just is adding a $100 million facility there. But a small businessman can't get $100,000 to be able to buy inventory to go do something. So we've got to get to work for those smaller businesses out there and figure out how to get them going again.
Can we expect the Senate Democrats to file their own versions of bills, even if they're futile in their efforts, or will you wait and react to what is filed and try to craft around that?
I think you'll see both. Our members feel very strongly about individual issues, and they'll file bills on those. Probably they won't be real successful. I told somebody today, I said, you know, you got to understand, they have the majority and we don't. We will fight, we will push our agenda, we will do our things, and at the end of the day, they'll win. But maybe we can move them a little bit one way or another, and if we can't, at least we'll inform the public as to where they're taking the state.
Senator Nesbitt, thank you so much for being on North Carolina Now this evening. Good to have you on.
Pleasure.